So, one of the things I do when I usually drive my car around is I just start ranting about stuff that I either like or dislike, about things I find interesting, usually video games or movies, or the way the movie industry is just killing my insides. And on the ride here to the house, I was talking about Silent Hill 5. And really what it was kind of comparing Silent Hill with Resident Evil, and why I don't like Silent Hill 5, and where I think Silent Hill went totally wrong. So I'm just going to start ranting about that kind of stuff. For starters, Silent Hill 5, I think, is one of the worst games I've ever played. It's glitchy and buggy, and the story is just poor, and the whole thing about it is just a terrible game. I cannot stand it. And one of the reasons why I can't stand it is because I'm such a big fan of the first 3 Silent Hills, and, I kind of treat the whole situation like Star Wars. The first 3 that came out were really good, and a lot of people liked them, and they had staying power. I still like the first 3. And then they came out with the next 3, which is Silent Hill The Room, Silent Hill Origins, and Silent Hill 5 Homecoming. And they just got worse and worse and worse. I get some enjoyment out of the 4th one, The Room. It wasn't supposed to be a Silent Hill game, but I still kind of enjoy it sometimes. But it was right there, that game, where I started noticing that everything was going downhill. The monsters were getting dumb looking. Like in the first one, the monsters were just monsters. Spooky children, ape monsters, dog monsters, flying monsters. They were just monsters in general. The second one, if you've ever played it, all the monsters represent the main character's psyche, really, and it helps tell the story. And I thought that was just amazing. It really rounded that one out. And then the third one kind of went back to just monsters. Let's make them spooky and not really represent much. I mean, some of them sort of do, but the monsters in the first 3 Silent Hills were kind of crazy, creepy looking, and then they started getting stupid. And then in Origins, I couldn't even get into Origins. And if you've never played Origins, go on YouTube, find somebody doing an LP of it or something. And then, but 5 came out, and I was like, okay. At the time, my cousin was doing what I like to call a gamer's crusade, where he was trying to play every single Final Fantasy. And he got up to 6, I think, and he never really got into it. And apparently, he never even beaten 6 before, which is blasphemy in the Final Fantasy world, I think. And so he was doing this crusade where he was trying to play them all, and I was like, I should try something like that. I enjoy playing games. I think that's a fun thing to try out. And I was like, well, I'm a big fan of the Silent Hill series. And I knew off the bat, I saw previews of Homecoming, and it just looked like they were taking everything I love about Silent Hill and ripping it to shreds. And so I was like, well, you know what? I had the money. I'll go pick it up. I'll try and get Origins, and I'll get The Room, because I had 1, 2, and 3. And I said, I should do this a good way. I should leave this on a happy note. And so I said, I'll play them backwards. I'll start off rough and play them backwards, which was a big mistake, because I started with 5, and I never ever finished the game. There came a point where everything got so faulty with it that it just started pissing me off. And a lot of people make games where parts of it feel like it's a chore rather than you're playing a game. You don't want to have to work to play a game. You spend all your day at work, and then you go home and like, well, I feel like, toiling some more. Let me pop in this game and wish I was dead because it was so terrible. So I got real pissy with that, and then I started thinking about where that was going, where Resident Evil was going. And that's kind of what I started enjoying about Silent Hill, is that Resident Evil 1, it's fun. In retrospect, it's real cheesy and clunky and boring. And the second one was pretty action-packed. The third one was kind of the same. And so they started getting into this formula of go in building, solve a bunch of puzzles to get out of building so you can get to the next building, and just kind of proceeded from that. And so I started growing up enjoying that formula. When Silent Hill came out, you start in the streets, go to this building, solve that, get out of that building, go to the next building, and it kept going and going. And the second one did that, the third one did that, the fourth one sort of did that. So there was just this real big formula about exploring these buildings and sort of uncovering these weird happenings, kind of progressing the story that way. And so both of them did that. So basically, I guess what the people at Silent Hill, Konami, wanted to do was to try and separate it instead of making, jump out at you scares and stuff. Well, first they made the 3D camera in the first one, which was a really good choice in my opinion. It really kind of immersed yourself more than the Resident Evil series could. But instead of making the jump out at you scares, where a dog will jump out of a window in Resident Evil, they had this great idea to make everything really dark, and the way you know something's coming after you in the darkness is the radio starts going crazy. And so they gave people that kind of creep factor that survival horror really lacked, because before that it was that jump out at you scare, which makes it a bit more actiony instead of scary. It was really setting itself apart. And then when the second one came out, it kind of redefined storytelling almost, I think, because it was just an amazing thing. And plenty of other people have gone on rants about the second one, so if you've never played, treat yourself to a insane story. But yeah, it's crazy. I hate it that Silent Hill 5 came out and it was going to this lame direction. And to top it off, I like how Resident Evil came out with the fourth one and redefined Resident Evil and made it a lot more action-oriented. And instead of going that direction of, well, let's just creep them out, they were like, well, let's just overwhelm them with people coming at them and one guy trying to stop all of them throwing stuff at you, and they really just threw a lot of stuff at you and you had to react to it. That really took it from survival horror to kind of a roller coaster ride, a scary roller coaster ride. You get to a place and they bombard you with stuff, and that's another kind of survival horror. You got the kind where you actually do have to survive, which I've yet to actually find a good survival game where you actually have to survive. You barely have enough resources to get by and you have to make do with them. And then there's the other kind, though, where it's just this exciting kind of horror. When Resident Evil 4 first came out, I remember Ubisoft came out with Cold Fear, which if you've never played that one, don't even bother. Find somebody doing an LP on YouTube. Think Resident Evil's younger brother. There's like 5 of the same monsters throughout the entire game, and they just keep coming back. And it's the same spiel. Like, if you shoot somebody in the head, their head explodes, and a little thing comes out of their head. It's not as cool as in Resident Evil 4. It kind of looks like a head crab that can stretch its legs around and just goes up to the ceiling and tries to fall on you. It's really boring. So yeah, a lot of people really wanted to do Resident Evil 4. They really wanted to try to take games in that direction. I think that's why Silent Hill 5 fails so much, is because Silent Hill gave itself a foundation of being this creepy world where the town is a character itself. And I like to think in the games that the supporting characters aren't actually there. I think they're just kind of hallucinations that the town builds based on the protagonist's psyche, and that really shines again in Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 3, it becomes a bit more tangible, and I think people kind of missed on that opportunity. They could have really had something. And so instead of making a game about repenting for the bad things you've done and trying to come to terms with that in the form of dangerous monsters, they basically just kind of said, well, here's a creepy town, ooh, and everyone said, yeah, whatever, dude, and they left. They went to go play Silent Hill 2 and Resident Evil 4 as well. And I think that's a big problem in the gaming industry, is once somebody finds one good idea, they try to repeat that idea over and over, thinking that's going to keep on working. But no, you have to stay fresh. You have to kind of be avant-garde of gaming, I suppose. And that's what they're trying to do with Silent Hill 5. They're trying to latch on to the success of Resident Evil 4. And so, yeah, that's mostly my thoughts about Silent Hill. And I'm really glad that I could just start ranting about this stuff. So I'm tired of talking, so I will stop talking right now.